Like people who actually wonder if The Rock is using exogenous amounts of testosterone, or like John Cena.
He just works out a lot. It's just
it's impossible.
No.
And it's impossible. And the fact that anyone even thinks to question it just shows they have no idea.
Bringing you a reasoned approach to health and fitness. This is the Phi Life Podcast.
Welcome to the Phi Life Podcast. I'm John Barban. With me is Brad Pilon, and Brad has a topic today he hasn't even told me about. So take it away.
Yeah, we don't want you to know ahead of time, because I like your realistic first time opinion. So today we're talking Superman, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, a mutual friend of ours sent me a picture of the Cavill Superman, the Hawkins Superman, and the new guy Superman.
Yeah,
I don't know his name. And
Yeah.
I had mentioned I like the portion of the new suit because it's like an outfit. It's not like a skin tight thing, right?
Yeah.
And in the pictures that we're referencing here is, like the Cavill Superman, which is like jacked, and Tyler, I think he's saying his name right, Hoechlin from the TV show, who did a phenomenal job as Superman. Same thing, jacked. And the new guy is just wearing like a suit, more or less, right? You can still tell he's massive, but it doesn't have the drawn on muscles.
Oh, right.
Simple, right? So I go and I'm kind of looking at it. I start reading the comments. And the comments are like, drawn on, dude, Henry got in crazy shape for this. The other guy's like, Tyler's in shape too. Drawn on, you're out to lunch. I'm like, you guys think those are real? Like, I'm not this guy. Henry's massive, right?
Yeah.
Tyler's a giant too.
Yeah.
Guys, those muscles are drawn on that suit. Like when you take that suit off, the muscles are there
On the suit.
Right?
Yeah.
And this isn't like a debate. It's not a my opinion thing.
No,
you can go and look at pictures of the suit and they're there, right? So it made me realize that our expectation of the human body, for most of us, we grew up with He-Man cartoons and stuff like that. We're so out there that not only do we argue whether or not, our top Hollywood stars are on steroids, we argue whether or not the muscles that are drawn on the suit are actually their muscles showing through a skin tight shirt. Which is just, it's bad.
Oh yeah. I mean, well, this is a topic I keep talking about, is the unrealistic expectation of muscle potential that I think the average guy has. So if you've never, I'm just going to jump right in here if you don't mind.
Yeah, go for it.
If you've never used steroids, you have no idea how much bigger you physically can get versus the next guy over. And we always talked about this. If you know, you know. Like it still shocks me to this day when people question whether a certain person's ever used steroids, and they're enormous. Just like people who actually wonder if The Rock is using exogenous amounts of testosterone, or like John Cena.
He just works out a lot. It's just
it's impossible. And it's impossible. And the fact that anyone even thinks to question it just shows they have no idea. And it's probably mostly because if you've never used them, you don't get it. Like you don't know.
Yeah.
But if you've used them, you get it. You understand, there's a certain amount of strength and a certain amount of size that all the working out in the world couldn't get you there.
Yeah.
Now, certain people, they're rare, few and far between, have a genetic base level of muscle that's superior than everyone else. But even they have a limit until then you got to use exogenous anabolics to get even bigger, right?
Yeah.
So however big Bo Jackson actually is, or however big Herschel Walker actually was, now if those guys use the same amount that like a Schwarzenegger would have used, maybe they're even bigger than him, like all the way up, right? And now I don't know if those guys have used anything, but there is some amount of base muscle that can be genetically superior than everyone else. It's just
you look at The Rock,
the differences,
and Arnold, and you can find it online, pictures of them at 13 or 14.
Yeah.
And you already know they're well muscled, but what you don't see is the fact that if that 13 or 14-year-old was standing beside 5'10", 170-pound me, I'd look tiny.
Yeah.
There's no frame of reference. I actually, to your point, so standing beside Jay Cutler, and Jay Cutler, not the football player, but the Mr. Olympia, one of the most winning Mr. Olympias of all time. I didn't register that I was that much smaller than him until I looked over into the mirror at the gym, and I'm like, I am tiny. I'm like the size of. I'm not like, my arms aren't a little bit smaller than his. I'm the size of one of his arms at the time.
Yeah, right.
And it didn't clue into me until I saw the reflection. Like it was,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I knew he was bigger than me, but I didn't realize that he was a completely different species.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right. So they're that big. So when people talk about, you know, Henrik Cavill, like he's that big,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you wouldn't really realize it. But even though he's that big, that the muscle doesn't pop through a skin tight Superman suit,
people
right?
People don't understand how big that actually is right there.
Right,
Or like even Menser right there doesn't look that, but he's huge in that
behemoth.
picture.
But
he just, some people might look at that picture and be like, oh, that's just a good beach body. It's like, no, that guy would make the average guy look like a child. And then I don't know if you can see Yates over there, but just the size of these guys here is so, if you saw them in person, as Brad said, it would be like another species.
You stare. You would stare.
And it's nothing. It's way beyond the biggest guy in your gym. Yeah. Unless you happen to work out at a gym that happens to have a pro bodybuilder, it's still a size way, way beyond anything that you've ever seen in person. So, and to Brad's point, if you've ever stood right next to a pro bodybuilder, you realize, okay, so this is a magnitude beyond. And like, for instance, the biggest, most muscular football player is still small compared to a pro bodybuilder from a pure muscle standpoint. And I don't care which player you pick, none of them are this big.
No, I walked down a main street in Barbados with Ben Pakulski. You couldn't take more than 3 steps with that before someone was stopping him. Like it was, and it was. Now a lot of them recognized him. He's apparently really recognizable because they're like Ben, but some of them were just like, what is going on here, right? They didn't know who he was, but they knew that was just something different. So what I thought would be really cool would be to share some of our older stories, pre-Photoshop with a thing, right? But this is almost pre-Photoshop. And my favorite stories are one, and you'll remember this one, but in a photo shoot with a well-known bodybuilder who has well-developed obliques, like so it almost looked like a love handle. Mm-hmm. Do you remember it? And so we would go behind him. We would grab one and push it over, the other push it over, and duct tape.
To so make his waist look narrow.
Yeah. The other thing we did, which I don't know if people realize, we still do this in movies, but for bodybuilding shows and photo shoots, we would use different viscosity oils. So the sheen on the muscle separations would be different. You were literally painting in with the oil separation. So when the light hit it, the shine was different.
Yeah, I think modern makeup artists know how to do all that stuff.
Yeah, but I don't think the average guy knows. So not only are you looking at a physique that's that rented muscle, right? So right before that specific shirtless scene, your celebrity Hollywood actor has pumped up. He's glycogen loaded. He's basically gotten ready for a show. Mm-hmm. Like he's bigger than he was the day before. It's just that rented full muscle, right? He's dehydrated. He's oiled appropriately. They've finagled whatever they have to do with oil or coat hangers or whatever the case may be for that one scene that then is touched up post development, right?
Right.
Like we know guys who do that for a living. And then you're throwing that up on scene and you're like, yeah, dude got in shape. And you're like, no, he didn't just get in shape. Like that's so far from his get in shape version, right? And remember, Hollywood actors are already beautiful people who the camera loves by nature. Like that's who they are. They have the right.
And you're taking that to another level.
Yes. Right. So the suits have muscles drawn in them. Sometimes they're wearing a muscle shirt under the suit and you can get them off of Amazon and they're pretty cool. Right. And then the suit itself has muscles drawn into it. And then even when that's all taken off, you're dealing with an unrealistic visual of what they're actually like. And what they're actually like is still crazy impressive. So we're just so far removed from what is realistic that we get so skewed that, we argue about a guy having actually like a 12-pack on a suit and being like, he just got in shape. You're like, no, and you shouldn't hold yourself to that. Yeah.
If you haven't done a shoot, like a video shoot or even a photo shoot, it's hard to understand how much more there is to get it to look even half decent on camera.
Just the lighting, right?
If you just step out of the lighting just slightly one way or another, all of the definition just sort of goes away. Mm-hmm. So it's not like it isn't you. It's just it isn't you under the right lighting and a tan, just the skin color. All of that stuff matters. But I mean, I don't know if we're just repeating the same thing over and over again. I guess it's partly an expectation, like whatever you think shape you can get into, you could actually be closer than you think. You just haven't done the right photo shoot to make it all show up.
That's where I wanted to go with this. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So to get the look of the Superman suit, it's a matter of having muscle and getting lean to see what that looks like. And it was what you and I talked about years ago when the bodies exhibit came out.
Oh,
remember the bodies exhibit was that it was just a human body with the skin and fat removed in various poses so you could see the muscles.
Yeah.
And it was that realization that underneath it all, we all look like superheroes.
Right. Yeah.
Like the muscles there, right? And these were some of these cadavers. I guess they were dead bodies, but
yeah,
it's really weird when you think about it. But some of them were like 60, 70. But again, when you strip everything away, you're like, still looks like a superhero. So you can get there shirt off, right? And it will look impressive. Like absolutely, if the leanness is right. But you're never going to get to the point of the television movie scene. You can be as lean as
all of the stuff that it takes.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
But it's worth trying. It's worth trying at least once in your life to know. And then you can work.
Agree.
Then you can work backwards from, okay, so I did a photo shoot at some point this year. I did all of the tanning. I got the lighting, got a proper somebody who actually knows how to take a picture. That actually matters too. And then you can look back and realize the condition it took to get there, the condition of that specific day versus just the condition you were in moving into that day over like weeks and months. And then you could realize how close you are to that, like on a day-to-day basis throughout the year. And it's, I don't know if it's underwhelming when you realize, it doesn't look as impressive as the photo shoot, even just a few days later, even though you're technically really close.
Yeah.
It's just almost nobody looks that impressive, no matter how far along the road they are. The day of the shoot is another thing. It's like it's just the rented look, I guess. Yeah. It doesn't mean you don't always have a good aesthetic. It just means that sharp, like this thing, whatever this is back here, that's like a temporary, really extreme aesthetic. And if you feel like, oh man, that's impossible, I can never get there, you're probably just like prep of the photo shoot away if you're in really good shape and just like, how come I don't have one picture that looks like that? Like how come not even one?
I have pictures I keep, and they were ones I took 3 days before the photo shoot we did with the black background, like double bicep. And it's 3 days before that, just to remind me like that was actually the condition. And that picture there was like a dehydrated, pumped up for the good picture, lighting. Yeah. So just to remind myself when I get down, I'm like, no, that was never me. Right. Yeah. Long hair, pirate Brad holding the monkey. That's like probably the best I've been in shape, not pumped up and lean. So I remind myself that because you're right. Everyone should get that lean once to experience it, but you have to have some form of frame reference to realize that was never actually you. That was a rented look.
But also get that lean and do the shoot.
And do the shoot. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, the proper shoot. So and people arguing about it online, like how this whole discussion started, it's likely revealing they've never done a photo shoot to know what they're talking about.
Yeah. That's it, right? Or they've never been in that shape, or and everyone has this buddy. They're that guy who thinks they're in that shape. He's like, I got 5 pounds and I'd be Superman. You look at 50, right? But
or being around someone working. Just being around them throughout the process and realizing the change from day to day at the end towards the visual. And then we've said this in other podcasts, a lot of celebrities for those type of roles, they get the shirt off scenes done all at once at the beginning because they dieted on their way to filming just so they have that look for those moments. And then the rest of the movie, when they're not in the shirt off scenes, they don't have to maintain such an extreme look. Also, they don't during the filming of the movie, you don't have the time now once filming is started to be training into such an extreme state. That's why those scenes have to happen at the beginning, not at the end.
There's a great topic on that, and it was Chris Hemsworth talking about the first Thor movie. And talking about how he had to get lean for the scene where he comes out with just the jeans and the shirt off, right? And they're like, this guy's kind of jacked. But then he had to get ready for the shirt on big, you know, when he's fighting everyone to get back to Mjolnir.
Yeah.
And he's like, I had to like massively eat up to be shirt on big.
Oh, just to be overwhelmingly big in that encampment where the Mjolnir's in the middle.
One. Yeah, exactly. Right. So those were two different dietary approaches, two different training approaches with two different goals. Right. Shirt off lean and shirt on big as a guy are two.
Yeah, and in that movie, those two scenes are what, 2 days apart?
Probably months.
Oh no, no. I mean, in the timeline of the movie.
Oh yeah, sorry, in the timeline. Yeah, like a couple days apart.
They find him, and then he does a hospital thing, shirt off thing, where Portman's character and Kat Dennings' character are like talking about him, and then a day later he's doing the scene you're talking about where he's way bigger,
and a trained eye is like he's 30 pounds bigger in that scene,
fighting
like
for the hammer.
You see it,
and he's massive in that scene. It's where he can't pick the hammer up, right? But
that's the one, and everyone remembers that one. Yeah.
Well, the one of the best still shots of that is him trying to pull the hammer, and you could see how big he is in that scene.
Yeah, I would argue even Thor: Love and Thunder, he has some scenes where you're like, he looks like a pro bodybuilder. He was still the most shocking one was that
when he's
scene.
Naked, right? When Zeus snaps his fingers,
too hard.
takes all his clothes off. Yeah, that's the best condition I think he's presented himself on camera ever.
Yeah,
but all the Thor movies,
pulling the hammer up was the first time, other than like the CGI Incredible Hulk, where you're just like, oh, that's a superhero. Like that's That's it. Yeah.
And now he's rare that he can get that big and look that good.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, agreed. I think because he's tall, right? So
anyway, so what's the point of this? Is just how unrealistic any media representation of somebody is, including anyone you look at online. You don't know like if they're just in the right lighting all the time. So just don't compare yourself to these people. Like,
no, you just have to get lean and do your own shoot, because kind of like Barney Stinson from How I Met Your Mother, how he can never take a bad picture.
Yeah.
Gallagher's like that, right? You could sneak up on that guy and take a picture, and the lighting will be perfect in his pose. He just knows how to hold his body. Right? For us mere mortals, it is good to get in shape, do a photo shoot, have someone there help you with the posing, just so you can look at it and be like, oh, I can get to that, and then know where that is on the spectrum of you, right? And then maybe take a couple pictures a couple days before, a couple days after, to sort of know what's a more realistic vibe for you.
It's just good to know that like the condition you can get in for your body. I mean, that's something we did with our old Venus and Adonis contest. We taught everyone how to actually take a photo shoot, and
so important.
And so many of our contest winners realized, oh, I actually meant pretty good shape, and I was never that far off from what a model looks like. It's just I never did the proper photo shoot to even have a clue what I look like, or learn how to pose under the lighting. So
that's it.
I guess don't compare yourself to celebrities, and if you haven't ever gone to that degree of getting in that kind of condition, do it and then see what you look like. And that's actually pretty, there's some confidence that you'll build from that. Also, it just makes you realize like it's just your body versus yourself, and stop looking at what other people look like. And you might start realizing, oh, I've been in pretty good shape, or I can get in pretty good shape. And it's like moving forward, if you ever sort of fall out of the routine and want to get back into the routine, your motivation should be your own picture, not someone else's picture.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the major values, because you can get there. But the effort of doing the proper photo shoot with the proper lighting really matters, because you kind of need to see it on yourself. You have to believe that you actually can look like that. And no matter how good a shape you get in, the proper photo shoot matters for you to really realize it's you.
Yeah.
So, all right. I think that's good then.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, that's a good one. All right. Yeah. So for Brad Pilon, I'm John Barban, and that's your Phi Life Podcast.